Welcome to a Bad Idea AI Spaces. Bad Idea AI is one of the first AI agents on the scene over a year ago, created in part by, as far as we're about to discuss, the Shiba Inu team. And we're going to talk about what that means today, why we are where we are in the world of AI agents, and how we got there. So this is going to be a very unusual Spaces if you're used to my normally well-formatted news shows where I've got crisp questions and stuff, because we're here to riff today. The Bad Idea AI ecosystem, the DAO, the Decentralized Autonomous Organization, is in a weird space right now. And as the voice of the DAO, I get to be the guy that comes up here and says all the quiet shit out loud. So welcome to the show. Pulse Digital. All opinions contained here within are my opinion and mine own, and do not represent all of the members of the Decentralized Autonomous Organization or Bad Idea members, associates, or its team members. So as we go through this, don't get confused by the account. That's also true for Mr. Lightspeed over here. Lightspeed's going to tell you the story a little bit about what his role has been in this whole thing up to this point and why we have landed where we are and what we all need to do. So to recap, if you're into AI agents, you should probably know about Bad Idea by now. We've been on the scene for a very long time. Our agent, Sarah, is in thousands of telegrams, servicing hundreds of thousands, over 500,000 members at this point, also in DM conversations. She's had multiple iterations and evolutions. She's an ever-changing, enigmatic figure, but she does not operate alone. She is a triumvirate of agents. There's actually 3 agents that have always existed working in the background, or what became known as the back rooms. This was a very cool term when it came out, and lots of projects were able to launch coins talking about their backroom agents and how their agents talk to other agents. And man, we've been doing it. We've been doing it for a really long time. And that's what we're here to remind you about, is we've been on the scene for quite a minute now. And there's a lot of differences in how things look from here, where we are now, to what they look like when we launched. And I'm going to go over it with you. And why am I qualified to do that? Why is Lightspeed qualified to do that? Pulse Digital again. Hi, I've been hosting for Mario Nafal for more than 7 or 8 months now at this point. I've hosted hundreds of shows with hundreds of projects across all different swaths of crypto. And I've talked to some AI projects that are good and bad and ugly. And I've seen it, and I've read about it, and I've tracked it all. And I think you guys have seen it too. Projects like Goat, AI 16Z, Eliza, competitors that you might consider to what we do, but realistically, it's an entire ecosystem of AI. And I've watched it all come and go, and so has Lightspeed. And we've watched it from a weird perspective, knowing that we had an AI agent that was not only nearly first to the table, but also endorsed fully and likely launched on behalf of Shiba Inu to accomplish their goals within what is the larger Shiba Inu financial ecosystem and Shiba Inu universe, metaverse, whatever you want to call it. So where we are today from the perspective of where we launched is different. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. When we launched, Shibarium was a very different place. In that it was barely working. And I'm, by the way, not going to make fans with this Spaces today. I'm aware of that. And if you're out there listening and not having a good time, it's free to get here, free to leave, baby. You don't have to deal with it. But this is how it's going to go today. Shibarium has changed, man. And when we got here, we had a promise after launching on Ethereum to go to Shibarium, and we did that. We accomplished that. We've been providing AI for basically every project that has launched in the orbit of or through Shiba Inu since then. If you can name a partner project that's come through, if you can name a project that launched on Shibarium, we probably at some point had a conversation with the team, a Telegram chat with them, a close one-on-one with their development team to custom teach the bot their material. If you knew how much individual treatment Lightspeed had put into every little shitcoin on Shibarium that launched, and I don't mean that in a negative way, I'm just saying this, anything sub 100K, the amount of time that went into training our bot to make everyone feel welcome was over what needed to be done. And we tried to make a very gracious entrance for everyone. And time after time again, things continue to happen where we just felt like people didn't know about AI. That was normal in the first, I'd say the first 3 months. The only reason the charts ran up was it was a fresh chart from SHIB and ETH Toronto. And I got 3 people that are going to be pissed that I just said it that way. One of them right now I can tell is typing angry messages in the chat, but he's not doxxed, but I'm laughing because there is a team of people that help push it. But man, fresh chart, SHIB endorsement, ETH Toronto. I'm a crypto expert. I know that's all it's going to take. Once SHIB steps up and says, we're doing something with AI, shit went to the moon, 100 million market cap. Yay. And then coming back down from that, we were living in an environment where people didn't even know what agents were. So the evolution of Shibarium and AI agents from then to now, some of you might not have been here long enough to even know how much things have changed. But my role has been, and Lightspeed will tell you, is historian, lore keeper, lord of the scrolls. It's this blessing and a curse that my brain locks things away, and people often don't like when you bring things back and do sunlight antiseptic. But those are the things that this Spaces is about today, because, dramatic pause, We're at a crossroad.
Um,
Yeah, dude. We have got to figure out the situation with this DAO now or never. So if you liked the story up till now, holy shit, is this going to be a page turner? Because we're in a situation right now where the funding has, for the third time, been basically withheld until the midnight hour on development of the bot, the community, the team management. And that's why you saw us throwing a fit on X and in our Telegram for the third time. If you guys have been around long enough, the multi-signature wallet that supplies the tokens that are released to the team for management of all of the operations of Bad Idea AI have always been signed by three somewhat mysterious figures. And when I say somewhat mysterious, what I mean is there's probably only like 2 or 3 people that really know who they are outside of the individuals signing these transactions. And in the past, when things were good, things were never a problem. Tokens were released on time. They were used appropriately along with the budget that Lightspeed presented to these people. It operated like you would have wanted a DAO to. Now, we had a snapshot set up way before anyone ever expected us to, and we've had the ability to do snapshot votes, and it's never even been necessary. We had it before K9 did. We had it we had it set up almost 6 months probably before anyone even knew about it. And we just haven't needed it because things worked appropriately with the budget. But the first time that budget got withheld, some of you might not even have realized it because it was basically an internal Telegram issue in order to get the signature done on this release. And things basically went off without a hitch. However, any kind of interruption to operations like that undermines the trust in the ability to work hard when you don't know that the next allotment is going to be there. If you're working an operations budget for a company or in a military situation or whatever your analogy wants to be, if you suddenly start to believe that the support is not behind you to provide fuel for your efforts, then the convoy's got to stop, man. And the first time it happened, it was kind of a little hiccup, and I was the first one to throw a fit because I'm always the biggest bitch in the room. But everybody else just wanted to be like, yay, we got the budget, keep going. And it was like, all right, whatever. The second time it happened, I stood up and made a little bit more noise about it. Like, hey, man, I think we're getting worked here. This isn't the way that's supposed to go. Like, if we're doing things right and proper and transparent, it shouldn't be this hard. But the problem was, and again, I'll reinforce this throughout the show, Pulse Digital here, just giving my opinion. Shibarium kept growing, baby. It kept growing, more eyes going more places. You can read into that what you will, but Bad Idea was less of a priority, and these signatures weren't happening. The budgets weren't being reviewed, and for whatever reason, we began to feel like the redheaded stepchild of Shibarium. And by the third time, which is what has happened in the last 2.5, 3 months, going on 3 months, believe it or not, that we've actually been fighting about this last budget release, which means, by the way, we were fighting about this all the way through the holidays, which is just the merriest of Christmases, by the way. Ho, 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 indeed, when you don't know what's going on within the budget for an entire community of people that are relying on you. Certainly a stress-free time of year, as it naturally happens. So that what has happened is, for the third time, this budget fight has had to have happened, and this time it was bullshit with a capital T, you guys, and you have no idea how bad it actually got in terms of team members potentially just not being interested in doing this anymore. In so much as you saw what Lightspeed posted on X. And Light, while I'm rambling, if you could, your latest post, if you could pin it up top so I could reference to it. I was meaning to do that, but I'm off on some shit now, and you can't stop.
Sure, go ahead, keep going. I'm enjoying it. I'll go
Roger, buddy. 10-4. I'm dropping full payloads here. So you'll see that he's been doing some stuff on X, and basically we've had to take our private bullshit public, and it sucks. It sucks, and I'm here doing it on Spaces, and it sucks. And I want to let you guys know, if you're a member of this DAO and you're a token holder, we know. I'm not up here trying to be a shit starter, contrary to what some people think in this community. What I am is I'm the person that's going to come up and talk about the situation. And that's honestly what has to happen. If you've ever had family problems or gone to therapy or needed to get your ass chewed out at work, man, sometimes your drill instructor is the person that loves you the most. And if I have to be that person, I swear I will be that person in this situation. So the whole reason we've come together on this Spaces, if you've made it this far, if you've been listening to me this long, is that we have to figure this out. And what is we, you guys? Well, I'll tell you what, if you made it this far in the Spaces, you're probably we, because you're either holding bad, you're thinking about holding it because what you're hearing here, or maybe you're thinking about getting the hell out because you don't like the tone of this Spaces. But whatever it is, if you decide to do something after this, we need your help figuring out why we can't have reliable releases from this multi-signature. And the goal has been, as it was very eloquently expressed in multiple places before today, the best solution, if you're not interested in participating in the governance, is to hand over the multi-signature wallet so that you don't have to be asked to do this anymore. And I don't know what's so hard to understand about that. there are so many different directions I could go, and I'm not going to go into all my little conspiracy theories here because it's not going to be that long of a spaces. But what I'm basically saying is, if you, and I'm speaking to anyone that has the ability to sign that multi-signature wallet, because I frankly do not, for my own verifiable truth, know who those three people are, and I have got some very close guesses. But if you are within the sound of my voice, or someone is telling you about what happened in this spaces, you've got to make a decision about whether or not you want to continue to participate in helping the group of people that are gathered here continue to try and push this AI project forward, because this cannot be sustainable where a team of people are not sure if the money is going to show up. That's not how businesses are run. And the new laws around finance and crypto and KYC requirements, which I'm going to let Lightspeed go into some of that because he deserves the airtime to get into this with you guys, because he needs to be able to explain those posts in a way where you guys can understand. It's not just some shit where he's like, hey, I'm wiping my hands clean of it. It's so much more complicated in 2025 right now than it was in 2023 when Bad Idea was conceptualized, and the idea of a DAO, that it would just be this group of people that would get shit done, because it has changed. And the reason we are here today, the reason I've gone on this rant, is to clear the air. I'm not out here trying to make enemies, and I guarantee you I'm picking up fans and losing friends as the time clock runs here. 16 minutes in. I can't wait to check when I get done. But we have to talk about this, and that's why I asked Lightspeed to be here today. So Chris, after having me go through all of that, what are your thoughts on how we ended up where we are?
Well, thanks, Shane. I put the link down in the message section there. I don't know if I got the co-host level, so I can actually put it up on the billboard up at top. But if you can fish for it while I talk, I appreciate it. But this whole exposure to really relates to accountability and responsibility, right? And unfortunately, those things cannot be abdicated. They cannot be. Um, you may be accountable to something, but you can't delegate that, right? You can delegate the work, but you're ultimately accountable for it. And that leaves me with the next thing: who's truly accountable, right? Um, and there's a couple of angles here related to why I'm currently asking for our governance to be managed by at least three KYC individuals. We can get a free KYC with Certic. Okay, so it's not a matter of costs. Money off the table. It's not going to cost that much. Second thing, um, people like me are doxxed, right? So we're not just putting our money on the line by KYCing on exchanges and whatnot. We're putting our personal safety on the line. My safety. If you've been to conferences, you'll realize that I do have people that are watching after me. They follow me. They keep me safe. That's for a reason. You know, anytime I go to a conference, I do have people there. So number two, docs personality, safety. So who's accountable? Again, anonymous individuals. So it's also about business. I went to go apply for KuCoin. During the application process, they wanted the IDs of the multi-sig for KYC purposes. I couldn't provide it. So therein light stopped the opportunity to list on KuCoin because we do not have the proper governance in place in order to be compliant in the U.S. markets. Okay. The good news is we do have a legal opinion letter. I did hire the lawyers. I did have them go through everything about the token itself to showcase that it is not a security. But you need to go one step further with the USA. Is that you really need to know who you're doing business with, right? So that gets to my company, Lightspeed Crypto Services, is a limited liability company formed in Delaware. And I don't know my client. Now that's a problem. It became a bigger and even more notable level of importance when my company enrolled in what is called FinCEN. And so, for people who don't know what FinCEN is in the USA, it's the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. And so, my company is a part of that network. It's enrolled, voluntarily enrolled on my part. Right? No one made me, no one twisted my arm or anything. Voluntarily enrolled, and we'll provide reportings of anything suspicious. If I think there's anything with money laundering or anything crazy going on, I'll report it. Right? Got it. In return, they provide me with all those tools. Okay, so that's one thing. The second one is IRS audits. People go through and they want to audit you. Um, where did this money come from? Right? That's another question I wouldn't be able to answer through my business. Now think of it from another way. I want to go buy a house, right? And they want to see the proof of your funds that you're going to use to buy the house, and they need to know that the money is properly seasoned. So what does that mean? They want to know that the money has been in your accounts for a reasonable amount of time and that the money did not come from some kind of illegal source. So from personal to my company to the management of Bad Idea AI getting listed on exchanges, those are three tiers of levels here that all of this converges into why I'm pushing extremely hard that we change the governance to individuals who are KYC'd or doxed to the community, right? You can show your face on the camera like me, or the individual can go through the third party like Certic, like say they don't want to dox, they're worried about their personal safety, but they want the privacy protected and still go through the proper steps. There are ways to go about doing that, right? So we can protect people's privacy in that. Besides, there are community members. There are people in this chat who have put up their credentials to get on these exchanges. And they are the ones that actually manage the security of those exchanges. They manage, the accessibility, API development, and all that. So it's a security layer, but they're the ones that are taking uh, the risk and accountability. Again, you can't follow that. Let's say something was to happen. You can't follow that trail and connect all those dots to these anonymous benefactors. So here we are in 2025. It is no longer acceptable to be working with someone and do business with someone you don't know. Okay. When it comes to business interactions like this, it's in your best interests to know who you're doing business with. So when they renege on their deal, you have recourse to be made whole, to be made right. And that's what I'm doing right now. I want Bad Idea AI to be made whole. I want Bad Idea AI to have a governance system that is nimble, can fast. I mean, I'm tired of this slow speed shit. I'm fucking tired of it, people. I earned this moniker because I like to work fast. I already know the solution. I need to get actions. And I don't like to work with both of my arms tied behind my back. It's unacceptable. I spent 27 years in the military. I've had hundreds upon hundreds of people working for me. I am working way below my skill set here, way below. I don't need to do this. I'm retired. I'm on a pension. I can stop right now and just live off my pension. I can go to the beach. I can have my pina coladas. I'd be fine. All right. So no one has any control or power over me. And so they need to know that. So they know that, oh, he's just bluffing. He's going to need the money. I don't. I'm fine. What I want to do is knock something out of the park, and I want to see other people win now, right? And if I can come along for that journey, great. I would love it. So it's about operational efficiency. It's about people who I don't think no longer have the best interest of this community at heart. If they ghost you, if they're taking forever to respond to things, that tells me the message is loud and clear. I am unimportant to you because as me as a former colonel in the United States Air Force, I expected pretty much an immediate response. And if I say jump, the response is how high. Okay? That's what I'm used to. I'm hardwired now, right? So I deal with no bullshit. And this is bullshit. How am I supposed to properly take care of the Bad Idea AI community if I can't properly lead? And so that's what it all comes down to. Um, I don't have to be on the multi-sig. I don't want to be on the multi-sig. I'll be happy to if the community would like me to. But I like the idea where I have to go and make my case, plead my case, provide the budget. This is the rationale. Do a quick governance votes. 3 of 5 is sufficient as far as I'm concerned. Let the hodler group know this is the group that has the who have vouched that they own the token to speak their mind, deliberate a little bit, and then all that feedback can then be used for the vote for those on the signers. Works great. It's super fast. It's efficient. You're not then stuck with the months of, okay, let's vote on this. And by the time you're done voting, the listing proposal and opportunity is gone. And you got to start all over again. So it's about efficiency as well, credibility, accountability, and ensuring that the community is taken care of. Okay. Because here we are. The chart is topsy-turvy, but it's in the upward direction, even in the midst of the last 4 days or so where we've been demanding accountability and a restructure. The chart's been going up. People are voting with their money. Now, I wish the damn day traders would get out of the fucking way. Some people can't hold for more than a fucking hour. It's fucking ridiculous. But that's what we have to deal with, right? That's what we have to deal with.
This is such a weird conversation to be having in the face of the chart that looks like a green candle punching God in the face. I don't understand it. You know, what's funny is this lines up accurately with our theory from a year ago that FUD always leads to green candles at Bad Idea. I don't understand it. It's literally like when we punch each other in the face, it leads to the great, it's like the end of the Civil War and the great rebuilding. I don't get it, man. It's what it feels like, and I hate it.
Well, you remember my reverse psychology speech, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime anyone says, "Oh wow, this is bad," it trends us. It just trends us. This is awful. This is bad. This is horrible. Every sentiment in the planet, we start trending. It's just freaking brilliant. And so they can say everything is bad all they want on CoinMarketCap. That algorithm picks up the word bad, and here we are. We get trending.
It's been so weird. Chris, I appreciate you getting into all that because that is 100% not the normal version that we get of him online. And that is my favorite version, you guys. That is the version that we needed to have this conversation with. And I didn't want it to be something that you guys weren't prepared for. But this reached a point. It's reached a point. You can tell he had 3 salient points. Security, number one, most of all, is the most important thing. If you are dealing with doxed individuals online, if you're going to tell me that you're not going to take their security seriously, if they're the ones going to bat for you publicly in any shape, form, or fashion, particularly in a financial sector, that's terrible team support. You got to have somebody's back. You got to have their 6. And if you're going to remain undoxed, that might not mean coming out and showing your face, but there's got to be ways that you can step up and make them feel better. Security, first of all. Second of all the financial laws coming into play and the ability to not get listed. KuCoin's a great example. That's a direct number one example of like, hey, here's an exchange that we could have got listed on, but the fact that we could not expose the individuals responsible for signing and owning and controlling a significant portion of the supply was the biggest hurdle we couldn't overcome. The next time the community says something about, hey man, we'd like to get on an exchange, the answer is, hey, we would like to as well. And we've said that so many times. It's not even 100% any one person's responsibility to make an exchange happen. But when you lean on somebody like Chris, who has the acumen to get this done, when you can get it done so well, and you see him in other places, every time somebody pays him to do a listings job, it's just immediate, right there, Lightspeed, every time. So what's the hang up here? You think that he can't figure it out? No, that ain't it. That's definitely not the problem. So with the chart looking like it is right now, it'd be a great opportunity to go back to that KuCoin chat. It'd be a great opportunity to reach out to crypto.com and be like, what up, girl? How you doing? You seen my new fit or whatever it is the kids are saying these days? Listen, I'm not hip, but this is a great time to reach out to tell them, hey, we've been able to pick things up. And what would be more bullish than saying also the community has had we basically just call it a CTO, which is a very hot thing to say. And we got control of the supply and it's now been handed over and we're going to do this with it. And we're going to do that with it. We're maybe going to do a strategic burn with it, whatever people need to hear to get bullish about it, and maybe they'd be excited to put it on an exchange. But as it stands right now, your hands are tied. Exactly the metaphor you used. Not one, but 2 hands tied behind your back. If they want that information, you can't provide it. So This is such a crazy conversation. And I don't intend to sit up here for an hour and drag on and on and on about it, but we had to get up here today and have a conversation for a couple of reasons. One, audio is so powerful. Audio humanizes the situation. If I had typed all this out, it would have been chopped up into 100 places, and I would have been labeled a dummy futter and a shitty marketer and all the other things that I love reading about me online. And it would have been misquoted and taken out of context. And it's not to say that it won't hear, but you guys can hear that I'm a real person. I don't have a script in front of me. What I have is 2 years of working on Shibarium here and at K9. By the way, hello, it's the same guy that does the K9 Spaces. Sound familiar? Probably does. This is literally like I know a shitload about what's going on in Shibarium, and I wouldn't be here shitting where I eat, which is literally the best description of what I'm doing right now. I'm aware that getting up here and having this conversation with Lightspeed is definitely like a very unusual move for a crypto account. And there are going to be people that are going to be like, you should have done it on your personal account if you guys have got personal beef. But this, you guys deserve this. If you hold a single bad idea token, you are technically a member of the voting DAO. And if we had brought this to Snapshot, by the way, I'm going to back up because I know that our news site is out there recording this. If we had brought this conversation to Snapshot and allowed the holders to vote on it, of course they would have voted on the multisigs being handed over. Of course the community would have said, we can find the KYCs. Of course it would have passed way more than quorum was necessary. But does that mean the multisigs would have had to have acted on it? No, it doesn't. So what would a useless Snapshot vote have done except whip the community into a frenzy, making them believe that we were making steps forward as a functional DAO, only to end up with egg on our face when it still resulted in inaction? Because we couldn't just by voting ensure that it would have happened at all. So I don't want you guys to think that Lightspeed and Pulse and these people are making decisions without us, and they're up here starting shit that the whole community has to answer for. I assure you, we've worked through it. I think you got a bit of an understanding from Lightspeed that this is not something that has not been weighed and measured and calculated, right?
That's
right,
right.
Chris?
Yeah, and we've been in the hodlers group. Like I said, our group with people with proven holdings have had an opportunity now for a good month to weigh in, and some of our biggest holders. And so we do listen to people's skin in the game. And so that's why we encourage people, if you don't mind going and you can transfer $100 over to a wallet if you're worried about security. I don't care. Just something that says that you flash a badge at the security door before coming in, and then go in there and chat it up. There's no buy bot in there. There's nothing but Sarah and the rest of us to talk about the project, and we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And this one was tossed around, and it was a good way to test the waters, and except for a few comments that were like, I'm worried, I'm fearful, maybe the chart will dump. That's all said and good, but at the end of the day, it's all about courage. At the end of the day, you got to swing around some big deck energy and get moving, right? And that's really the bottom line of it is. And so there was a lot of support that it was time to go ahead and do this restructure. So I hope they're listening. I hope they will respond. I think that if the response is defensive or argumentative or any of that, it's just nonsense, because why are you even arguing with what is ethically the best decision to make, right? Hell, if it's so bothersome that you can't even respond for a couple months, then it's obviously not worth your time. It's not, and let's hand it over to someone else who's willing to expend the time, and we save that person all the hassle, right? So we're really here doing a win-win, Shane, and really freeing a lot of people who might just think, well, this is a burnout, I don't want to be bothered with it because I got other bigger fish to fry. Well, we're not a fish to fry, and we need to be just unshackled so we can just take this thing and really get it going. You guys saw what could happen just by 2x in this chart, how much marketing I was able to crank out. We still got the same exact number of tokens when the budget was released, right? We were able to do all this without losing a dollar. As long as chart go up, the amount of capabilities that we have is enormous. So imagine if we could actually combine that, the operational capabilities with a small governance crew, to coordinate those kind of efforts more strategically. And so that's what we're lacking is we can make the tactical moves day by day, but it's pretty hard to plan 2, 3, 4 weeks in advance unless we have a governance crew in place.
This is the time for AI, and this is the worst time to be sitting out of the game. So they either got to tap in or tap out, because I'm not going to be sitting here watching everything take off, watching Nvidia hit all-time high after all-time high, and have all these conversations about agents and all the technology that's going into agents right now. By the way, we could be using and spending on development. We could be hiring developers to help Lightspeed make a much more advanced bot, make versions of the bot you haven't even seen yet, which is all kinds of things that we're just hamstrung on the ability to do. So it's a crazy thing to think about, sitting on the precipice of AI and being held back like this. And
I could use the help. I mean, think about it. How many full-time people do we have on this project working full-time? We got
not enough.
one. Just me, people. One. Your overhead costs are so freaking low. Look at some of these other AI projects. They got 20, 30 people working. All of this, everything that's going on here is basically one people and a cast of outstanding paid volunteers. And anytime I can toss something over the fence to help them out, I do that. It could be Telegram Premium to a couple $100 in tokens, because I noticed over the week they were really hustling hard, and I go, you know what, I want to send you a little bit of gratitude here and a bit of thanks. That's how you treat your volunteers. You don't use the excuse when someone is doing something a little bit more than above and beyond what a typical holder is expected, and say, well, you're just working for your bags. If you're a holder, that's a different story. I get it. But if there's a little bit of expectation tied to you and a little bit of role and responsibility, you should be taken care of. And so um, I'm not going to try to take all the credit. I'm just saying that when you guys look at a formal organization and who's out there really truly clocking in hours and has to, it's just one. Um, and I'm very thankful for everyone else. They can choose how much time to put in and not. I, I, I'm basically stuck to this project and have to, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but yeah, if it's going good, bad, or ugly, I have to, as a matter of principle, and because I've been asked to do this work, have to do this, and so it would be nice to have more flexibility.
Hold
Yeah,
on a second.
and bring more help.
You were asked to do this work by who?
I was asked by this.
By who?
What's that?
By who?
Oh, the big dog,
By who?
Shaitoshi.
In a midnight phone call. Yeah.
And this is how it was presented. We got a project that could use your help. We got these developers. They launched 2 months ago. Remember, I came on 2 months ago. Right?
Yeah.
So he's trying to do them a solid. This project needs somebody, and you are recommended. Now, let's not read into this and say that we're putting him in a negative light, because I'm not.
No, but I want it to be known, because I can tell everyone how I got here, because you asked me to be here, because that's how things like this happen. But that means there has to be a reason that you were here, because there's a shitload of people that think you launched the project. And that's because when you say there's one of us here working full time, what you mean is I'm currently coding the version of the bot I inherited, not what I built. Yes, but we have to be very clear about that, because they're not everyone here aware. And when I ask you to say that, for a lot of people, that's the first time they even heard how you got here, which is why I had to do that.
Right. I never launched it. It's not my vision. It's not, none of it's my vision. None of it's my creation, but I sure fell in love with it. I had to take my coding skills from the early 1990s and really refreshen this shit because what happened was I went and I took a look on it and said, okay, I want these advanced capabilities. And it eventually got to the point that I just had to let the developer go. Once I started peeling the layers off, and that's what I was asked to do, get in there and just do what you do. And usually what it means is I just torch a whole team and I start rebuilding it from scratch. And so that's where I'm at today. helping.
So
Yeah, the request was genuine. It was nice, very polite call, very very cordial. I really truly appreciate the recommendation. His interventions have been helpful at times, where I was like, "Hey man, can you get on these um, the original founders who are, if you go all the way back to day one of the launch of this token on Telegram, just go all the way back, you'll see who they are. It's not a secret, people. It's not a secret. You'll see the tags, the names of the people talking and communicating. And everyone got involved. They launched the project and they started doing the peel off to the community. And that was their intentions, right? But I don't think the intention was to see them completely disengage either. so
no,
so there's been times I said, "Hey, Shai, can you really help us out? Can you lean on these individuals hard, real hard?" And those interventions have been very helpful. So I want to make sure there's some context put it behind that. Okay,
sure,
I don't want anyone to imply anything negative to this. I'm
no,
very very thankful
no,
to this, and this is why we wave the flag for SHIB so proudly, and I want to continue to do it that way. But I think it has to be done without this level of control and manipulation, for lack of a better word. See, they're becoming disengaged on the multi-sig, and I don't want them to think that because we are being successful and able to accomplish all the development that we've had to do, which quite frankly, by squeezing water out of a stone, that means that they don't have to engage as much. And so that is what I started to feel was like they give you the minimum resources, say, hey, things are going well, they're doing all right, they're making things work. We can ease off. That's the last moment when people should do that. And so, if anything, we want them to engage more. So that's where
it's
we are today.
it's important to have that genesis story because I think it's important for people to know how everyone ended up here because only you know your own origin story. And unless we tell each other's stories occasionally, people will forget. It's been a minute since we did the spaces. So that's why I'm back in the truck up. I also want to talk about the holders group that you mentioned because I think this is worthwhile. If you are a person who did not know that there is a holders group, this is a great opportunity for you to get in there because there were a couple of things that he mentioned, such as the buy bot's not in there. But what it actually is a place for is a much more controllable conversation because everybody in there had to prove at some level, and it's not a high level, that they had some tokens to get in there. So it eliminates a lot of the traffic that would be taking up the main chat. So if you would have liked to have been part of this conversation or would have had to have had more input, not to say that it would have stopped us from coming to spaces today at any level, but just for other concerns, if you'd like to be able to talk more closely to the people that are more active than maybe what you find in the main chat, you need to figure that out. You can go in the main group and get connected with the holders group and you'll figure out how to get in there. But I think that might be valuable. Equivalent to the whale group at what I would say is like K9 is there's a very different vibe in their whale chat versus what's in main chat. It's just the nature of having a public chat so that when people land somewhere, you have a front facing storefront. So it's all, good vibes and, here's all of our products and stuff like that. But the holders chats in these groups are often much more beneficial for conversation and moving forward with ideas and stuff. So highlighting that.
No, I appreciate it. Yep. And if anyone goes in there, we don't delete any logs. I think it's anyone who joins can see the visibility of it. If not, I can turn that on. But it's
Should be.
yeah, it's like a good meetings notes. And so to recollect, what was the discussion by the governance panel or board, for lack of better words. We've been pushing that group now for better part of a year. There's still
Yeah.
38 people in it. I forget how many. I know quite a
Concerningly low number.
Yeah, I know people with substantial stake in this project, and so they got a lot of skin in the game, and they want to make sure that things go right. And so, I maybe that's it. Depending on the level of risk you take, and the more you want to get engaged in and make sure things are going. But it's a good group. So if you want to get more involved on what's going on and have a say, please join that particular group. The gatekeeping is there for a reason. Um, I know some people didn't like it, but it does help me know what I'm dealing with. what Shane is dealing
Right.
with. You know, anyone
But it's
else?
not a full group though. That's the difference. Is it's not even $100 to get in. I think it's like 25 bucks.
Yeah, it's very
Uh,
small. Yeah,
whatever you do.
I
But
think we
if you
set the threshold at holder number 1,000 or something like that.
okay,
You know, something very small bag, and so it's a pretty wide range of people. So
definitely worth checking out.
enough to cover the population.
It's not my intent to stay up here for any fixed amount of time today. So, barring that, I didn't have a lot of requests for people to come up at any point other than a couple of accounts that had just a very low number of followers. And you know, the Spaces policy is such that I'm not trying to be elitist or anything, but you can't take risks and stuff like that. So, if anybody had anything at this point, I'll give it about a 2 or 3 more minute window here where I would be comfortable to ramble about things, and then we're going to get out of here. I saw some comments that I basically have already addressed. One of them was talking about the roadblock on exchanges. They were asking, is there anything that we can do to help? We kind of talked about that. There's not really much an individual holder could do to accelerate the roadblock that we talked about, because if the roadblock is KYC of the multi-signature wallet holders, then that's not something I expect a regular holder individually to do. But what can we do as a group is we can be louder. We can echo these messages in places in a way where it's not interruptive or trolling, but in a way where it is effective message delivery. But honestly, it's going to be tough because the people you're trying to reach, we really have an audience of 3, you know, and you're hoping that outside of that, they have a network of people who would have seen this or heard this and been like, hey, shit, did you see that they had a Spaces talking about this? And that relies on the fact that anybody knows that that person is one of the signers of the multi-signature. Like, that might not be a public fact that you are signing on this. So it's a really interesting question, because we do need, quote, everyone's help to get this message across. But at the same time, it's the reason I drove the main account here today instead of my own personal account. I had to bring up the damn gold check mark and the SHIB affiliate badge. And I had to come up here, and Lightspeed will appreciate this because he mentioned it too a little bit, but I want to make you guys perfectly aware of how I am aware of this. I had to come up here and risk a lot of social bullshit myself as Pulse Digital. And this is not me crying. I'm just letting you know. We risk a lot of stuff coming up here and talking like this, because if you know anything about how crypto works, it's you get cut out quick as shit by pissing somebody off or saying the wrong thing. And this is the risk that we chose to take today. And I chose to bring this account up here because I'm going to be able to close this Spaces with no regrets about what I said. And I'm comfortable with that. I'm up here. I don't feel like I'm having a family fight at Chuck E. Cheese. I think I'm talking about points that need to be addressed in public with people who have a vested interest in seeing what happens, and the outcome needs to be discussed before it becomes something that just happens to you. That's where I'm comfortable with it. Like,
Yeah, these are the difficult conversations, right? And it takes a bit of courage. And I think by doing that, and to talk to people through not just the fluff, but to really talk about the genuinely good and the bad and the ugly. Um, People will appreciate that. They'll see this is how I've been able to get through very, very ugly times, and still somehow maintain a modicum of respect in this space. And I got people who hate the guts out of me because they, for whatever reason, they bought high and they sold low or whatever. Okay, for those people, I don't care. But there are people that they get upset at me for whatever reason. I'll take personally, and I actually might get hurt and go, "Oh man, I didn't mean to offend so and so. I need to go back and repair that relationship." Right. So I think people recognize I'm here being very, very human, being very, very genuine with you all. And with that, we earn a community that is willing to weather these storms together, and that's what I'm trying to do here as well. And I hope I'm successful here because the community, in terms of what we built, is solid. I mean, if you come in, as a matter of fact, most of us just sit there. Our main group may be quiet, but mostly because we're staring at the buy bot in awe. We're going, holy shit, look at that. Oh my God, that was $10,000. Woo. And so we're just sitting there with our mouths open, just looking at the chart going, this is great. You know, I got more to say. Um,
well, that's going to be how we highlight the close of the space too. Is I would just want to remind people, if you had any questions about whether or not what we're talking about is bad for the charts, you can just go check them out for yourself. And I'm not saying that what we talked about here today is the catalyst for what you're seeing. I'm just saying go look at what you're looking at and see if you think the conversation we've been having in the Telegram has been bad for what's been happening, because it's like he said, that reverse psychology of for some reason FUD had a positive reaction again one more time. And I think people are betting or hoping that the right thing is going to happen here, or the positive outcome is going to happen here. So fingers crossed, because I'm not closing the spaces with any more or less surety, I guess, that this is going to happen. But I definitely feel like we have done what we can. And I feel like everybody who is listening to this now, or will have listened to this later, or keep your ears and eyes peeled, will have taken in the various media produced by Bad Ideas AI that come from this spaces, because there will be articles and audio excerpts and things that are available for consumption. I think those people will walk away with at least a sense that this was a conversation that was realistic for what a DAO should be doing. And I do question how many people really want to get into a DAO, because it's not always fun, man. It's not every day with your family is a great day. So sometimes days at the DAO can be dark. And this is one of those days where I want to end on a positive light, talking about the way the charts are looking. And I hope that everybody leaves here feeling more positive about it. I appreciate the 10 plus comments down there, which is not a shitload. We could work on that. I haven't done enough spaces. We'll do better there. And I didn't let other people up. It was just me and Lightspeed. I honestly didn't see anybody else that raised their hand, but I did see some familiar faces from within the community, also some K9ers and some people from around Shibarium. Thank you guys for pulling up in here. I hope it was entertaining, if nothing else, because you're never going to find drama like you'll find it at a Crypto Pulse Spaces, and you can ask my porcelain dolls about that. Remember, one more time, every opinion you heard today was either the opinion of Pulse Digital, who is currently behind the Bad Idea AI account, not the opinion of any member of Bad Ideas DAO holders, associates, members, or team. It's all my own dumb ass up here coming through you, coming through this account to you. And then Lightspeed's totally responsible for everything he said, you guys. That's not me. That's on him.
That's on me. That's right.
Yeah, that's all on him. He can DM him directly, because I'm going to get the DMs too. In the meantime, I'll try and get back on Spaces maybe a week from now. And if I haven't heard anything by then, this will be a very different event. But I look forward to it. Thank you, Lightspeed. I sincerely appreciate you. And I'm not just glazing you in public, because I think people already know how close we are. But I want everyone to know that I'm saying thanks to him from the members of the DAO that just might have learned how much BS has been going on. So we do appreciate that. They do appreciate that, even if they don't get to send it to you. Because I know you're up here trying to do your best, despite what all the nasty grams are going to tell you. Okay, buddy?
Appreciate you, man.
Yep. In the meantime, this has been a Bad Idea AI X Spaces. And if you want more Pulse Digital, you can always tune in on Thursdays to the K9 Finance Weekly DAO Update Spaces at 3 p.m. If you had any doubt, you heard the voice there. I'll see you there next time, guys. Have a great day. And remember, we appreciate you.